So what's suggestion number one for communication in a great marriage? Listening. You'd think talking was important, and it is, but listening's the key skill. And I say that because one of you is a good talker, and one of you is not so good. Although you can talk when the mood strikes you. But most of the couples I've met, and you're perhaps going to be the same, one's quite good at thinking out loud, can chat away, and the other one's more reserved, doesn't even really see the need to talk that much. And so the talker thinks that good communication involves getting the non-talker to talk more. But you know, I've taught couples how to talk more, and they just fight. Learning to talk more isn't the issue. Talking's fine. I've taught couples who are individuals who don't know how to express themselves, how to talk, and it just got them into trouble. They started fighting with their spouse. So what I'd rather do is teach them how to listen. And by learning how to listen, you'll also learn how to speak. In other words, if I teach you how to talk, you may never learn to listen. But if I can teach you how to listen, as a result of listening better, you'll also learn to speak. It's weird how it works. It works very well. So listening. So I have a few sub-suggestions for you on listening. Let me tell you about the couple who came in 3 years ago now, and they were in crisis. They've been married 26 years. And it's surprising to me these days how many couples get into crisis after being married a long time. And it also surprised me how many couples get into crisis for being married after being married for such a short time. Couples like you. After 6 months to a year, after 2 years, 3 years are in crisis. Never saw that in the past. It tended to be more like 6, 7 years. You heard about the 7-year itch thing. This couple had gone a long time, had 2 boys. The second boy had just moved out. So they were sort of empty nesters. And they were in crisis. They were in crisis because they'd become totally disconnected over the 26 years they'd been raising their kids, I guess 24, 23 and a half. Because they were so good as parents, they forgot they were married. They're so busy going to their kids' hockey games and doing things with their kids, they forgot to take time for each other. And I got to tell you something about marriage. It doesn't operate in automatic pilot. You either pay attention to it and take care of it, or you'll drift apart. Bob Dylan wrote a song years ago. I don't know which one it was, but the lyric is, we're either busy being born or busy dying. And marriages are like that. You're either getting better or getting worse. You never stay in one spot. Any friendship is. But marriage, the friendship in our lives. So we got them chatting with each other, making time. I'll tell you about the tea time in a bit. And they started to reconnect. But then they ran into a second issue, a second problem. The wife would come home and talk about her day. She was the one who found it easier to do that. It's not always a woman thing. Some women are very good at expressing themselves. Some are more reserved. And they're always married to guys who are good at expressing themselves. It's not a gender issue. It's a personality difference. And in this case, she was chatting away. And so he would listen to her, and he would, when she paused, he would give her advice. And she got really annoyed with him because he was giving her suggestions. And she says, I don't want you to tell me suggestions. I want you to just listen to me. And he was frustrated because he was trying really hard to help her, but just getting into trouble. So he stopped giving suggestions. He just didn't say anything. And then he was getting into trouble because he wasn't saying anything. He says, I can't win with you. I give you suggestions, and you get mad at me, and I say nothing, and you get mad at me. What are we going to do? So in they came. So I said to him, giving a suggestion is a good idea, but it's step 2 in a 2-step process. I call it the 2-step listening technique. It's very simple. The first step is you hear the feeling. The second step is you give the advice. The first step is you hear the feeling. And then if you want to give advice, go ahead and give it. And then you come back to the feeling again, and then advice again. It's sort of like a 2-step dance. You see, he was jumping right over step 1 into step 2. His wife was furious because she just wanted step 1. She didn't even want step 2. She didn't think he knew much about the work she did. So how could he possibly be giving her advice about whatever? She just wanted him to hear her. And so he did. He started to just acknowledge her feeling and then give a suggestion. Sometimes he didn't give a suggestion. And she felt a lot better. So I said to her, so really, you want your husband to listen to you better, right? She said, yep. How are you doing it and you're listening to him? And she said, pretty good. And so I looked at him and said, do you feel listened to as well? He said, yeah, pretty much. I said, well, when you jump in and give advice, You know, the way you were doing before. You skip step 1 and go to step 2. You know when you were doing that? And he said, yeah. So I went to his wife and he said, so what was he feeling when he jumped step 1 to step 2? She had no idea. But I said, I thought you were listening to him. And she didn't have any idea she was so busy getting annoyed with him for jumping to step 2, reacting to him. She didn't hear what was going on in him. I said to him, what's it like for you when your wife comes home and tells you about the problems of her day? And he said, it upsets me. I feel badly. Is that why you jump into giving her advice so she'll feel better? So you'll feel better? And he said, yeah. And I said, you were so busy getting upset with him, you missed his discomfort with your talk. So you can talk to somebody about your day, which is okay, but you have to listen to their reaction to you talking about your day. If they give you a face or give you advice, it may be that they're uncomfortable. And so she ended up realizing that she had to listen better too. Because there were going to be days where he forgot to take step 1, he just jumped to step 2. And both of them needed to hear each other better. So that's called the listening 2-step. And I want you to know that the giving advice is important, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a bit.